Hello everyone, good evening, good morning, and good afternoon, those who are living across the world. And before we proceed today's auspicious gathering, and I would like to request each and everyone, if you are comfortable with opening up your videos, so kindly keep your videos on, and kindly keep your microphone on mute so that it would avoid any interruption, please. Thank you, and please allow me to introduce myself. I am Tenzin Doma. I'm currently working as the program coordinator of Tibet House, and Tibet House Culture Center of His Holiness the Dalai Lama is delighted to welcome you all to this auspicious day, which is Choekhor Duechen, and also we're going to observe the ceremony of undertaking the Aspirational Bodhisattva Vows, to be led by Choekhor Duechen, Director of Tibet House, New Delhi, and also to commemorate this day where the Buddha Shakyamuni first turned the wheel of Dharma by giving the teachings on Four Noble Truths in Sarnath, Varanasi. And also, he first turned wheel of Dharma after attaining the enlightenment. And Choekhor Duechen, which is called in Tibetan, is commemorate one of the most important occasions of Tibetan Buddhist calendar as well. Thank you. And now I would like to request Venerable Geshe Dorje Damdula, Director of Tibet House, to kindly proceed with this session.
Okay, thank you, Tenzin Doma. And thank you, Tenzin Choktanla, the Secretary of Tibet House. And thank you, all the staff of Tibet House. I can see all staff here. And all the participants. It's a great joy to see, and I can see that many of you are my long-term friends. I can see that. So today corresponds to a very important day, as Tenzin Doma introduced, Choekhor Duechen in Tibetan, and in English, the day the Buddha Shakyamuni turned the first wheel of Dharma. And so basically, I'm pretty sure that many of you are aware that I'm here in Saint-Côme, Choekhor Center in France. And so this is the midday, and many of you early morning, for some of you late evening, and some of you perhaps in the midnight. So this is a very auspicious day for all of us. Yes, there are so many ways by which to remember this great teacher, Buddha Shakyamuni. And the purpose for the Buddha appearing on this earth is to render service, benefit, and help the beings, to lead the beings from misery to happiness, the darkness of ignorance to the wisdom, and from the fear to the state of fearlessness. And if you study more deeply about the Buddha's activities, Buddha's deeds, we see that there are three main deeds. Buddha's deeds through body, or physical, and verbal or speech, and mental. There are three of these deeds. And say the mental. So mental is one which drives the Buddha's physical and verbal to be activated. And of course, the mental qualities, ordinary beings cannot have direct access to the mental qualities, mental deeds. Whereas we do have access to the physical and the verbal deeds. And for the physical deeds, we see that the Buddha performing miracles. For example, according to the lunar calendar, the first month of the 15th day corresponds to the day the Buddha performed so many physical deeds, miracle performance, and that is remembered as the great prayer day, or the or Mulam Chemo, Chudu Mulam Chemo. Then just imagine, let us be very practical. Say unfortunately, this is how the ordinary beings don't understand the deeds of what is the ultimate, the most important deeds of the Buddha. For example, if somebody performs some miracle, say somebody levitates like 1 foot above the ground, no doubt there's going to be hundreds and thousands, if not millions and billions. People will just flock there to see the wonder of this, saying that this is amazing. Everybody wants to be there. And whereas the Buddha's deeds, yes, Buddha did perform miracles, but Buddha himself very clearly indicated that it is the speech of the Buddha, the deeds of the Buddha's speech, that truly benefits the beings. Just as a common sense, that think of saying, if somebody levitates, or let's say they're 10 meters up in the air, where the Bodhisattva Shantideva did. And how many of you will be fascinated? Yes, every one of us will be fascinated. But what will you get? What will you be left with? You'll be left with just, wow, that's it. Wow, and finish. And this vow will not help you in any ways. So whereas the Buddha very clearly indicated that the Buddhas do not watch the negativities of the beings, nor do they remove the pains of the beings with their hands, nor do they transfer their spiritual realizations to the beings. It is only through teaching the truth of the suchness that the beings are liberated. So this is what the Buddha indicated, what himself indicated, and teaching the truth of the suchness. So with this teaching, then the individuals, we the beings, we are to be benefited by way of, first of all, study them, reflect on them, and then the field experience of these. So with this in mind, today, we're going to take the Aspiration Buddhist Vow, and before that, we're going to do a quick explanation of what the Buddha actually taught on this day. And as most of you, I can see that most of you are from either Nalanda Master's course or Nalanda Diploma course or Nalanda Certificate course. And of course, there may be some others also through some other contexts. So I'm going to give a brief introduction of what the Buddha taught on this day, in terms of the essence of what the Buddha taught, is that the Buddha, at the age of 35, having left the palace at the age of 29, for 6 years, through the first meeting with his teacher, the Alara Kalam, Acharya Alara Kalam, and then the second teacher, Acharya Udreka, and he was not really be satisfied in ways that what he expects is a solution to the problems of all the beings, and where he clearly realized that he just got some samadhis or the meditative concentration. Beyond this, he did not really get the solution to solve the problems of all the beings. So we went in the search of the path, and eventually, with the 6 years of the intense practice, he found the path, and by the age 35, he became the full awakened one, revered to as the Buddha Shakyamuni. And the whole purpose for him to become enlightened, of course, is to benefit all the beings. But then in what way to benefit beings? By giving teachings, by turning the wheel of dharma. And whereas on the contrary, the Buddha remains silent, as most of you already know, he remains silent and meditating. And the kings of the god and goddesses, Indra, Brahma, they through their clairvoyance came to realize that this Prince Siddhartha, having become a Buddha, having become already enlightened one, and he's not served the eternal will of Dharma. So this should not happen. The beings must be benefited of his becoming enlightened. So two of them dissented to make prostrations to the Buddha and make the request, please don't remain silent, please turn the will of Dharma. And the Buddha, they said this verse, they substituted so dumache the bichu sula tenya kora menu be memanaga nasun nebercha. In English, is that profound, peaceful, clear light, and non-composite. Such is the nectar of the Dhamma that I've discovered. Finding no one who can fathom this teaching, in silence I'll return to the words. So this is what the Buddha said. And the Indra and Brahma, they made more requests. Indra with the offering the conch, the Dharma conch, requesting the Buddha, please blow the conch of the Dharma to liberate, to give the wisdom to all the beings, to liberate them from their ignorance and thus from the fears of life, fears of samsara. And Brahma offered the will of life, will of Dharma to the Buddha. Please turn the will of Dharma to that the beings they don't have to be in samsara anymore. And the Buddha then headed towards the Sarnath, Varanasi. So there, the first turning of the will of Dharma happened. And in this connection, what I'd like to share with you is that how His Holiness the Dalai Lama so beautifully captures the three turnings will of Dharma, so beautifully connected to each other, related to the individuals' practice, lifelong practice, the whole roadmap from the point of our ordinary state to the final consummation of enlightenment. So this is what His Holiness presented. I'd like to share this with you. The first will of Dharma, of course, it was in terms of place. It was in the Varanasi, the Sarnath, Varanasi, and the contents of the teaching were the Four Noble Truths and the target audience, the Vaibhashika and the Sautrantika people. In other words, the simple people, simple who may not be too exposed to the philosophy, for them to lay the ground of what the reality is, what the reality that we live in, full of miseries and full of afflictions which trigger these miseries. And what could be the different reality, the reality of nirvana, where if we succeed in our practice, then we will see a very different experience. We will experience something very different reality, the reality where your miseries will dissolve, your perceptions is what tallies with the reality of the truth, of the ultimate expanse of the reality. So this is what Buddha taught, the Four Noble Truths in the first turning will of Dharma. So laying the ground of the reality that we live in, and the reality we can potentially be transferred or potentially be moved to when we succeed in following the path wisely. Then the second turning will of Dharma, and finally that we, in order to get to the enlightenment, get to the state of fearlessness, which is nirvana, get to the state of infinite happiness, which is Buddhahood, it should be your mind which should be manipulated, which should be maneuvered, that it actually gets to these experiences. For that matter, this mind, should behave very differently. Thus far, how the mind behaves is in a extremely indisciplined and the undisciplined, and whereas the mind which is to attain nirvana, the Buddhahood, that must be the mind which is just contrary of how our mind behaves now. And our mind at the moment behaves haywire, under the sway of the ignorance, under the sway of being very spoiled by afflictions and so forth. And then now we have to resort to the opposite state of mind, which we call is the virtuous mind. And in this connection, this mind must be so refined. At the moment, it's so polluted. And this mind must be made extremely refined. So what do you mean by refined mind? Refined mind. Refined mind to attain the Buddhahood, to attain the Nirvana Buddhahood, particularly Buddhahood, full awakening, where the seed of perfection within you, the seed of the Buddha nature, becomes awakened fully, like when the gold and the mud, these two are mixed. How to get rid of the mental defilements so that gold inside will become manifest with its full glow. How to make it possible? By removing the mental pollutants. So with this, then the next question is how to get rid of this the pollutants. That is by say the introducing the counterforce of the mental pollutants. And mental pollutants somehow they are rooted to the ignorance. So it is for this reason that the Buddha emphasized so much on the fact that we have to identify that the ignorance is the cause for all our miseries. And in this connection, the Buddha emphasized so much on the studies, reflection, and meditation. The extensive studies is very much emphasized if you are really to not to deceive yourself, not to put yourself to miseries, but be wiser, be kinder to yourself, to liberate yourself to the greater meaning of life, nirvana, Buddhahood. So that matter, the study is so much emphasized by the Buddha, the need of the studies of what constitutes the reality. So, in other words, given that the ignorance is the root of all the miseries, and the subtle sense of ignorance responsible for you not achieving Buddhahood, and this ignorance and the subtle sense must be counteracted. So, what is the counterforce? That should be the wisdom. Ignorance is darkness, wisdom is the light. It is only through introducing the light of the wisdom that the darkness of ignorance can be eradicated. So what kind of wisdom to be introduced? This question. So for this matter, this wisdom, of course, there are many ways of describing what this wisdom is like, but this wisdom, in one way, in a very comprehensive way, what we can say is that this wisdom should have two qualities. One is that this wisdom should see the object in its true form, that is, seeing the reality as it is. There's one thing. And which means to see the object, the subtlest form of the object, which is emptiness. And on the other hand, this wisdom should assume the truest nature of this subject. So subject object-wise, the subtlest object, which is emptiness, it should be able to see the subtlest object. And the subject-wise, it should manifest in the subtlest form. What is the subtlest form of the subject of the subjective mind? Is the clear-light mind. So the object-wise objective clear-light and subject-wise subjective clear-light. And so therefore, the Buddha, when turning the four wheels of the Four Noble Truths, turning the first wheel of Dharma, teaching the Four Noble Truths, there he laid the ground. First, the noble truth of suffering, noble truth of the cause of suffering. And then the third truth, noble truth of the cessation of suffering. And then the fourth one, noble truth of the path leading to the cessation. So cessation suffering, particularly according to Prasangika, high spiritual school, it should be understood in the context of emptiness. And then the path leading to cessation, the final version of this should be in the form of the subtlest subjective clear light mind. So the subtlest subjective clear mind should see the subtlest objective clear light. What's objective clear light? That is explained in the second turning wheel of Dharma. Objective clear light is taught in the second turning wheel of Dharma, which is the ultimate expanse of emptiness. That is what the Buddha taught in the second turning wheel of Dharma. And the third turning wheel of Dharma, there the Buddha taught somehow introduced us to the subjective clear light. So in the first turning wheel of Dharma, Buddha laid the ground for us how to get out of samsara. What is samsara and how to get out of samsara? Getting out of samsara, experience of the ultimate, the nirvana, the Buddhahood, in the context of emptiness, which is objective clear light, and then the what manifests that experience is the subjective clear light taught in more detail in the third turning wheel of Dharma. So this makes things very clearly, and I'm so impressed. Of course, this says there's something so unique of His Holiness the Dalai Lama's the apprehension, the comprehending the three tenets will of Dharma in a very succinct and in a very connected related form. So first tenet of Dharma laid the ground. Second tenet of Dharma identified that you should be able to see the objective clear light. And the third tenet of Dharma identified that the mind which sees the objective clear light should be the subjective clear light, which is the substance of the clear light. So this is these three constitutes the three tenets of Dharma. Then the okay. So with this, we see that given that the mental defilements, they constitute the mental defilements range in subtly. Some are very gross to the very subtle ones. For example, like very gross, like acute, excessive anger, jealousy, craving, and so forth. And for example, say what is going at currently, the wars, so unnecessarily created by the people out of craving, greed, the greed and the sense of disregarding others. So, and the conflicts, border tensions, and so forth in the domestic violence. The domestic violence, all the corruptions, and all these things. These are all the gross, the mental defilements, and the subtle ones, such as the very subtle self-centered attitude which the arhats have. Very subtle self-centered attitude, which even ordinary people like us, we can't even identify the presence of these subtle self-centered attitude. And also that, for example, we talk about the three kinds of suffering. The first suffering is, yes, we can easily see that. We can easily identify that as suffering, the suffering. Then suffering changes something, although we don't identify them as suffering, but at least we can see that, yes, after happiness, I can feel this happiness. With mundane happiness, with suffering change, although we don't identify their suffering, but we do identify that as something. But the pervasive condition suffering, that we are under the sway, we are under the control, the dictate of the contaminant karmas and afflictions, that is something which we even can't see. So this is so subtle. This is so subtle, and it is for this reason that the subtleness of the mind, this is required in order to identify, in order to remove all the defilements, to remove the mental defilements, we need to remove the grossest to the subtlest. And the gross we can identify, we can see how to resort the remedies. But for the subtle ones, forget about applying the remedies. We even could not identify what they are. So with this in mind, to identify and then eradicate these subtlest of the defilements, we need to resort to the subtlest of the remedies. And what is the subtlest of the remedy? It's the subjective clear light, which is the subtlest of the subject, focused on the subtlest of the object, which is the objective clear light. In other words, the subjective clear light should be manifested to experience the objective clear light. The union of the subject clear light and object clear light, that becomes the subtlest of the remedies to overcome the subtlest of the mental defilements. This is what takes us to attain the Buddhahood, to manifest your Buddha nature in its full form. So what happens when you become a Buddha? This next question, the resultant state. So the resultant state is, of course, in simple terms, we can see that you become totally unaffected by unaffected by external factors, which means that you are totally fearless. Fearless because that, oh, something may happen to me. Now you know that nothing will affect you because you have already woken up from the sleep of ignorance. When you wake up from the dream, nothing in the dream can affect you. You have no fear of the dream. Likewise, when you see the ultimate reality directly and you reach to a certain level of the experience, you become totally fearless. That is one result. Another result is that your mind simply, there's no obstruction, no whatsoever, including the cognitive obscurations. There are no obstructions there to stop your mind from flowing towards all the dear sentient beings. There's a free flow of your mind to all the dear sentient beings with ultimate compassion, ultimate love and affection. So this is the greatest of the happiness referred to as, given that your mind spreads to the infinite beings, that's the infinite happiness in you. So this infinite happiness, what is referred to as infinite happiness in secular terms, in technical terms, in the technical terms, it is known as the Buddhahood. So we experience the fearlessness and the infinite happiness. Fearlessness, technically referred to as the nirvana, and the infinite happiness, technically referred to as the Buddhahood. So this experience of Buddhahood, we see that the okay, now it's going to be a little technical, and those of us who are really new to this, just listen to this. In a way, we are very fortunate to hear about these concepts, and if those of us who are already a little aware of this, we can see that it helps us to refresh ourselves, our earlier concepts, and then reinforce the concepts. Okay, so the experience of Buddhahood to be experienced in the experience of the emptiness, where in the emptiness, where there's nothing to be apprehended as this or that. It transcends this or that, which means nothing can affect you. So this is how we experience the Buddhahood. At the same time, so this with respect to you about it in the experience of the emptiness, whereas with respect to somebody looking at you from the conventional sense, you see that all your mental defilements are gone, and then your mind simply flows infinitely. So that flow of the mind, that is a compassion. There's infinite compassion flowing to all the demon sentient beings with respect to the conventional, the observation. And in the ultimate observation, you see that you are just in the experience of the vast expanse of the indescribable ultimate reality. In the conventional sense, your mind flows infinitely towards all the beings. So this flow of the mind, radiance of compassion, it manifests in the form of Rupakaya. And Rupakaya is of two kinds. One is Sambhogakaya and Nirmanakaya. Sambhogakaya, which is accessible more to the Arya Bodhisattvas, and then Nirmanakaya, which is accessible to the other beings as well. And then the ground of the experience emptiness, which you are having direct access to, there's the Dharmakaya. So from the space of the Dharmakaya, the Sambhogakaya, the radiance of compassion, manifests in the form of Sambhogakaya. From Sambhogakaya, Nirmanakaya, the rain shower to germinate the harvest of the sentient beings that Nirmanakaya manifests. So this is Rizal said. This is how you, in your sense, you experience the ultimate benefit, and for others get the maximum benefit. Ultimate goodness for others and ultimate goodness for yourself. This is what happens when you attain Buddhahood. So this is a very brief overview of the three tenets of Dharma and the benefit for us to eventually get to the state of fearlessness and nirvana. So for that, although I said in a very concise form, but what we need to keep in mind is that we have to resort to this remedy, which actually makes us go in this direction. We need to resort to the ultimate remedy, and this remedy is not that easy. Don't expect that somebody comes, some like teachers or some lamas, teachers bless you, and then suddenly you have the outburst of the experience of the emptiness of bodhicitta. It'll never happen. It'll never happen. It is only through the extensive studies, for example, only through your meditation. And this meditation possible, we need to be convinced of what you're meditating on. If you're not convinced of what you're meditating, it's just very shallow. It'll never progress. There's no ground there. Without ground, you cannot stack anything on top of that. So you must get conviction. This conviction comes to us only through reflection. Wisdom draws through reflection. And to gain this conviction, you must have extensive knowledge. So this extensive knowledge comes from the wisdom drawn through learning. So this is how, this is where the Buddha emphasized so much on the need for us to study and learn. So the Buddha in the Dharmapada, Buddha very clearly indicated that even if you have such a bright eyes, but without the light of the knowledge, you will not see what is around you. So even if you're a very bright mind, but without the light of the knowledge that you learn, your wisdom cannot be activated to see the reality. So this is what Buddha very clearly indicated in Dhammavada. So with this in mind, particularly on this day, Choekhor Duechen, the sacred day, the Buddha turned of Dharma, the first turn of Dharma, let us make a fresh commitment that yes, in my life, I'll make sure that I don't deceive my life. Particularly, somebody hits 30. Somebody hits 30, we see that time flies so quickly. And then you hit 40, you said, okay, actually it is the flying so quickly. And when you hit 50, then you actually manifested that, yes, now I'm becoming old. You could feel it. Okay. So with this in mind, let's make a fresh commitment that I'm not going to waste my remaining part of the life. And as I always share with people, that some of you may think that, oh, I'm already 50 now. Now he said that 50 is too old. Oh, they 50, he's saying 50 is old. I'm already 60, I'm 70. No, don't think like this. So however, whatever is your age, of course, I'm not going to say that age is just a number. I'm not going to say this. Many people say that, but I'm not going to say this. But what I can for sure say is that you are the youngest of the lifespan that you are left with. This is reality. This is reality. You are the youngest of the lifespan that you are left with. You are the youngest today of the lifespan that you are left with. So why don't you use the young age with respect to the lifespan that you are left with, to really to make a fresh commitment to spend more time in extensive studies and reflection, and then they allocate a separate time for your meditation. So those people who already went through this process of extensive studies earlier, extensive reflections earlier, yes, of course, then you have to there should be the transition of the phases, the different phases of your life, transition from one phase where you spend more extensively on your studies. From there, then move to the transition to the next phase of life, more reflection and meditation, but not compromising your studies. And then from there, when you gain deep conviction, yes, emptiness, yes, what I'm seeing is not the reality. And while what I'm seeing is not the reality, yet the functionality infallibly operates. The functionality of the world, cause-effect relationship is infallibly operating. But you see the dichotomy between these two. When you see that instead of seeing dichotomy, you see the great complementarity of the two. At that point, there should be transition from extensive study and reflection to extensive meditation, while not compromising your studies and reflection. So this is how we are to be wisely kind to yourself. Yeah. Okay. So with this very short introduction on what the Buddha taught of the three turnings of the wheel during pertain to the three turnings wheel of Dharma, we're going to take the Aspiration Bodhisattva Vow. And for this, I request Tenzin Dromala, the program coordinator of Tibet House, to do the screen sharing. Okay, those of us who have this, the book, The Blaze of Non-Dual Bodhisattvas, we're using this book. It's on page 3 in English. It's on page 3. Of course, there are some variations, some versions of some different editions are there. But for others who don't have this book, don't worry. We do screen sharing. Okay, so let us keep in mind that the sacred day when the Compassion Buddha attained the first wheel of Dharma, it simply means that the Buddha gave the first teaching. And what the Buddha taught, it is not to be just left there, but we have to really make it manifest in a form of mental experience. What kind of mental experience? Finally, that you be able to fly to the offshore of the Buddhahood. You'll be able to fly to the offshore of the Buddhahood. How to fly? With the two wings. What are the two wings? the wing of the bodhicitta, unconditional love of the bodhicitta, and the other wing of the wisdom to see the reality as it is. So these are the two wings. And what we're doing here is that we're taking the Aspiration Bodhisattva Vow, incorporating these two, say the bodhicittas referred to as the ultimate conventional bodhicitta and the ultimate bodhicitta. Conventional bodhicitta referring to the effective side of the bodhisattva's ideal, which wishes to become Buddha for the benefit of sentient beings. That is the effective side of the Bodhisattva's practice, the ultimate effective side of the Bodhisattva's practice. And the other side of the wing is the wing of the wisdom of emptiness, referred to as the ultimate bodhicitta, the non-dual wisdom of emptiness, which is complemented by the conventional bodhicitta. That is the ultimate bodhicitta. Okay, with this in mind, they're setting proper motivation. Let us visualize the Buddha Shakyamuni, in front of us, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and the Are Manjushri, Are Avalokiteshvara, Are Tara, Are Vajrapani, and the Are Nagarjuna, Bodhisattva Are Deva, Acharya Chandrakriti, Acharya Bhavaviveka, Bodhisattva Shantideva, Deva, Bodhisattva Shanta Rakshita, Acharya Kamalashil, the Arya Sangha, Acharya Bodhi. And if you can't really imagine who the beings are, don't worry. Just the field of spaciousness that I'm hearing, the names, sacred names of all these enlightened beings. Arya Sangha, Acharya Vasubandhu, Acharya Dignaka, Acharya Dharmakirti, and the Lama Selingpa from Indonesia, and Lama Adisha Debungarishri Jnana, and all the great teachers of the Nyingma tradition, Sakya tradition, Kagyu tradition, Gelug tradition, and from the Chinese tradition, from the Theravada tradition, all the great teachers, just visualize them in front of you, and particularly how you visualize them, that they are so loving, caring, and embracing. Yes, indeed, they are. The only thing is that as long as we are not able to actualize some degree of bodhicitta, we cannot really emulate what these enlightened beings really feel towards you. Whereas the moment you feel this unconditional love, then you can imagine what is the degree of the love and affection they feel towards you, like the mother towards the child. This is exactly what is the case. This is how we should visualize them. Just let's take a few seconds to think of that. And also, let us visualize for the Bodhicitta field, visualize your two grandparents, all your children, all your family members, and all the dear sentient beings, the human beings, animals, insects, hungry ghosts, hell beings, god and goddesses, spirits, and so forth, in your own country, in the entire world, and in the entire universe. And the purpose of this practice is slowly but steadily transform our mind from a state of ignorance to the light of the wisdom, from the state of selfishness to the light of universal compassion. And so where your mind so disturbed and unhappy to the state of the ultimate happiness. So this is a purpose. For that matter, we seek the blessings of all these enlightened beings, and not only you're encouraging all your dear sentient beings to take part in this ceremony, to remember this great teacher, Buddha Shakyamuni, and his very kind teachings. With this in mind, let us say the verses together. Imagine that you are leading this recitation, and all the beings are joining us, and the Buddhist Bodhisattvas are watching us. And teach by great compassion, you taught the immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. And teach by great compassion, you taught the immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. And teach by great compassion, you taught the immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. Sanje joda zoge jonam la chanjo bardo dane gyaso che dage jinso kebe sonam tola penjere sanje jubare sho sanje choda soge chonam la chanjo bardo dane gyaso dage jinso kebe sonam ge tola penjere sanje jubare sho Sangye joda soge chonam la chanchu bardo tani kyabsu che tage jinso kebe sonam dola benjere sangye rubare sho. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By my accumulations of practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By my accumulations of practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By my accumulations of practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. In dependent origination, there is no ceasing, no arising, no annihilation, no permanence, no coming, no going, no separateness, and no sameness. I prostrate to the consummate Buddha, the supreme among all teachers, the one who taught this peace, which is free of all aberrations. I prostrate to the mothers of the hearers, the bodhisattvas, and the Buddhas, who through the knowledge of all lead hearers seeking pacification and complete peace, who through the knowledge of past cause, those helping migrants achieve the aims of the world, and who through the possession of omniscience help subdue as expanded varieties of teachings. The one who has transformed into the reliable guide, motivated by altruism to benefit sentient beings. The teacher, Sukada and protector to aiming frustrations. The one who has eliminated the web of conceptualizations and is endowed with the divine bodies of the vast and the profound, who eternally shines forth the forever noble light rays to you, the Buddha, make prostrations. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind of full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. Okay, let us recite this mantra together, remembering the meaning of this, to reflect this mantra as a reminder for us that reminder that what experiences that you get, the experience of the pains that you get is out of the negative karmas and afflictions, and the experiences of happiness that results of your virtues. So learn how to get rid of these causes of miseries and how to embrace the virtues, so which the Buddha summarized in his teaching. When the Buddha said that commit no evils, accumulate as great wealth of virtues as possible, tame your mind. This is a teaching of Buddha. Om ye dharma hetu prabhavam hetum tejam tathagato hyavatat tesham chayo nirodha evam vade mahashramanaye swaha. Om ye dharma hetu prabhavam hetum tesham tathagato hyavatat tesham chayo nirodha evam vade mahashramanaye swaha. Om ye dharma hetu prabhavam hetum tesham tathagato hyavatat tesham chayo nirodha evam vate mahashramanaye swaha. All phenomena arise from causes. The causes are taught by the Tathagata, the cessational causes as well as taught by the great seer. Profound, peaceful, elaboration-free, clear-line, and non-composite. Such is the nectar Dharma I've discovered, finding no one who can fathom this teaching in silence or return with words. Beyond our trends, thought, and expression is the perfection of wisdom, which is unborn, unceased, and has the nature of space. is the object of apprehension of self-realized wisdom. To you, the mother of the Buddhas of the 3 times obeisance. The forces of Buddha's teachings, all composite things are impermanent. All contaminated things are suffering nature. Everything is the nature of emptiness and selflessness. Transcending sorrow is peace. The Guru is the Buddha, the Guru is the Dharma, likewise the Guru is the Sangha. The Guru is also everything wholesome. I go for refuge in the Guru. By the sound of the vibrant drum of Dharma, you liberate all beings from miseries. I beseech you to kindly remain and give teachings until the end of the expanse of billions of eons. The Buddha does not watch the negativities of beings, nor does he remove their miseries by his hands. His spiritual realization does not transfer to them. It is by teaching the truth of the suchness that the beings are liberated. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all bewildered miseries gloom. If you are attached to this life, you are not a spiritual practitioner. If you are attached to samsara, you have no renunciation. If you are attached to your own self-interest, you have no bodhicitta. If there is grasping, you do not have the view. Okay, let us recite in fact, we'll recite the whole Heart Sutra. We'll read the whole Heart Sutra. Okay, this is a very auspicious day, and the Heart Sutra consists of the second turning wheel of Dharma. And this is the realization of contents of Heart Sutra is the actual liberating path. So we'll not miss to recite the Heart Sutra. Heart Sutra, the Perfectional Wisdom Sutra. I prostrate to thy irretrievable gem. Thus did I hear at one time the Buddha was dwelling on Masa Vulture's mountain in Rajgriha, together with a great community of monks and a great community of bodhisattvas. At that time, the Buddha was absorbed in the concentration on the categories of phenomena called profound illumination. Also at that time, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Aravadukiteshvara looked upon the very practice of the profound illumination of wisdom and beheld those 5 aggregates also as empty of inherent nature. Then through the power of the Buddha, the Venerable Shariputra said this to the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Aravadukiteshvara: how should any child of the lineage who wishes to practice the activity of profound professional wisdom train? He said that, and the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Avalokiteshvara said this to the Venerable Shariputra: Shariputra, any son of the lineage or daughter of the lineage who wishes to practice the activity of profound professional wisdom should look upon it like this: correctly and repeatedly, beholding those 5 aggregates also as empty in their nature. Form is empty, emptiness is form. Emptiness is not other than form. Form is also not other than emptiness. In the same way, feeling, discrimination, composite factors, and consciousness are empty. Shariputra, likewise, all phenomena are empty, without characteristic, unproduced, unceased, stainless, not without stain, not deficient, not fulfilled. Shariputra, therefore, in emptiness there is no form, no feeling, no discrimination, no composite factors, no consciousness, no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no birth, no mind, no visual form, no sound, no smell, no taste, no touch, no touch, no phenomenon. There's no I element and so on, up to and no including no mind element and no mental consciousness element. There's no ignorance, no extinction of ignorance, and so on, up to and including no aging and death, and no extinction of aging and death. Similarly, there's no suffering, origination, cessation path. There's no exalted wisdom, no attainment, and also no non-attainment. Shariputra, therefore, because there is no attainment, bodhisattvas rely on and dwell in the perfection of wisdom, the mind without obscuration, thus without fear. Having completely passed beyond error, there is the end point of nirvana. All the Buddhas who dwell in the 3 times also manifested completely awakened to unsurpassable, perfect, complete enlightenment in reliance on the perfection of wisdom. Therefore, the mother of the perfection of wisdom, a mother of great knowledge, unsurpassed mantra equal to the unequaled, the mantra that thoroughly pacifies all suffering, should be known as truth, since it is not false. The mother of the perfection of wisdom is declared: Yatha Om Gade Gade Para Samgade Bodhiswaha. Shariputra, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, should train in the profound professional wisdom like that. And the Buddha arose from that concentration and commanded the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Aravadukiteshvara, saying, well said, son of the lineage, it is like that, it is like that. One should practice the profound professional wisdom, just as you have indicated, even the Tathagatas rejoice. Buddha having thus spoken, the Venerable Shariputra, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Aravadukiteshvara, those surrounding the entirety, along with the world of gods, humans, asuras, and gandharvas, were overjoyed and highly praised that spoken by the Buddha. We'll start the Heart Sutra mantra 7 times together, imagining that you are in vulture, you are there in the vulture's beak, in Rajgir, and imagine that the Buddha Shakyamuni is there, His Holiness the Dalai is there. Yes, His Holiness visited the place, the sacred place, so many times, and Buddha also was there. And in fact, the Buddha gave lots of teachings there in Vulture's Peak. If you read the sutras, you see that many of the sutras were actually taught in Vulture's Peak itself, not in Heart Sutra. And then you visualize the Aryavalokiteshvara and the Shariputra and all the Buddhist Bodhisattvas, and including your own teachers there, and you are in front of them, and your two parents, your children, and all dear mother sentient beings, they're with you. With this mind, let's recite this 7 times together. Deyata Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhi Swaha Dhyata 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 Om Gate Gate Paragate
Krishna. I'm sorry to interrupt. I think Gisela is facing the technical issue. Okay. Gisela. Gisela, Tanjine, Gisela, koyu mu diyor Gisela?
What you do now?
딱 koydu Gisela. Tanji, 하츠들 먼저 탱마 듬발을 패드 Gisela chess.
Okay, it's fine. Okay, we will now continue from this. By the teachings of the three supreme jewels possessing power of the truth, may inner and outer hindrance be transformed, may they be dispelled, may they be non-existent, may they be pacified, may all negative forces opposed to the Dharma be completely pacified, may the host of 80,000 obstacles be pacified, may we be separated from problems and conditions harmful to the Dharma, may all enjoy in accord with the Dharma, may all auspicious and perfect happiness pervade this place now. Okay, we will read Foundation of All Good Qualities, which is okay. We'll read the short mandala. Sorry, immediately before that, short mandala offering. Page 40. Yes, thank you. First, we'll say the English, followed by the Tibetan with the tune. This ground adorned with perfume, strewn with flowers, adorned with Mount Meru, the four continents, the sun and the moon. I imagine this as a Buddha field and offer it. May all sentient beings enjoy this pure land. O Sajibage Joshiamendo Tam Sangye Shendo Mede Bwaye Jogunam Da Shenla Jebarai Sho. The four Dhammas, Venerable Kambupa. May I be blessed that my mind is directed towards the Dharma. May I be blessed that my Dharma practice is on the proper path. May I be blessed that the path is free of flaws. May I be blessed that the flaws are seen in the light of exalted wisdom. Okay, I'm going to quickly explain these 4 lines. This is extremely important. This is actually composed by the great teacher Venerable Kambupa, and who was in fact the student of Jesu Milarepa, and who in turn was a student of Jesu Marpa, and who in turn was a student of Jesu Naropa, a great the scholar, plus a realized enlightened being from Nalanda University and Monastery University in the past, and then who in turn was a student of Jesu Dilupa. So Jesu Kambupa, he directed these 4 lines, extremely precious, and I'd like to quickly explain this. When he said, may I be blessed that my mind is directed towards the Dharma. So say Dharma versus non-Dharma. Non-Dharma meaning more mundane, only for the sake of this life, and just after your wealth, after your, the food, clothing, basic necessity, just after this, engrossed after this life's engagements. And then on the other hand, say while not compromising this life's engagement, but also think about the future lives. That becomes the Dharma. So where your mind is like a mature person, not like a small child who only thinks about the playground, who could not think of the 10 years later, 20 years later. Whereas the elders, they can see what is beyond that, beyond 10 years, 20 years. So the parents will make the children go to school. So anybody who can think beyond, you are matured. So all of us here taking part in this program, no doubt you have aspiration, you have love for Dharma, you have the conviction that I have to do something to prepare myself for the next life. This is meaning of the mind directed towards the Dharma. May I be blessed that my mind is directed towards the Dharma. Number 2, may I be blessed that my Dharma practice is on the proper path. That is that the proper path. In Tibetan it is Chue Lamdu Lombar Chingolo, Lo Chusu Dubar Chingolo, Chue Lamdu Lombar Chingolo, Lamdu Lombar Chingolo. This is in English, this is more like little translation. I would say meaning wise, it can be more like, may I be blessed that my Dharma practice is successful. Successful meaning that, because the second one, how it is translated here, it can be confused with the number 3. So successful meaning that when you go into the Dharma path, some people, they become sick. And some people somehow the obstacles come on the way. That you're about to practice something, and then somebody creates problem on you, come to fight with you, and there's no way by which you can practice Dharma. So this is where the obstacles come, and in a way that once my mind is towards the Dharma, that my Dharma does not meet with the obstacles. Is number 2. Number 3, may I be blessed that the path is free of flaws. Meaning that that when I go to the Dharma, say for example, say the first you meet with the teaching of His Holiness the Dalai Lama. Oh, His Holiness is so popular, so famous. I want to know what he's like. And then you follow his teachings. You are just attracted by his charisma, his love, his compassion. You're attracted by him, and then you want to just see, what you can learn, what he taught, and then you end up in there's some places, some teachers who just, either they give you wrong directions, or they're just for money purpose, or they just teach you something very small, something ritual, that's it, not at all encourage you to studies and reflection and so forth, and saying that this is everything. This is where we're going wrong. This meaning of, may I be blessed that the path is free of flaws, that you are meeting with the path which is with flaws. So some people, they give us some instructions on single point meditation, and they say that this is everything. This will take you to Buddhahood. You don't have to do anything. These are all which are misguiding us, misleading us. So we should be freed of these. And you pray to all the Buddhist Bodhisattvas that I may not meet with such a situation where I'll be trapped in just one side of the path and thinking that is everything. So this very strong prayer that we make in this life and also for the future lives. Then the number 4 is extremely the high level. Number four is, because you meet with the proper the dharma without the flaws, then your bodhicitta becomes very expansive. Your wisdom of emptiness becomes extremely profound. And then you're able to activate this clear light mind, subjective clear light mind, to see the objective clear light mind. So at that point, then everything, even the flaws, are seen as exalted wisdom, because it is like, say, you are in the shop where you can buy the toys, different toys. Say the statue of Jesus Christ, statue of Buddha, and some statues of the demons. And yes, we have been looking at the statue of the Buddha, Jesus Christ, so forth. We are so happy. Look at the statue of demon, you don't like it. But if you realize that all the statues are made of diamonds, everything is very precious for you. So where you see that everything, nothing but the play of your own wisdom of emptiness, the play of your own bodhicitta, the radiance of your own mind, radiance of your own the non-duality bliss and emptiness, then you see that everything is so precious. So there's no flaw, everything is divine. So that comes as a very advanced level practice. And yes, of course, we'll reach there, but through concerted effort in a very systematic study, reflection, meditation. So the fourth one says, may I be blessed that the flaws, you encounter the flaws, that is a very later stage. When the flaws are seen in the light of exalted wisdom, you see everything is beautiful. So for example, for a mother seeing the child dirtying the wall with the pencil, you see this as a painting. When you have the love for the child. And then for the physicists, you will see everything as a play of the quantum, the quantum mechanics, the very subtle operation of the quantum mechanics. So this is how we can see at a later stage. You can see that everything can be seen as the exalted dharma, exalted wisdom. Okay, let's recite this once more. May I be blessed that my mind is directed towards the dharma. May I be blessed that my dharma practice is on the proper path. May I be blessed that the path is free of flaws. May I be blessed that flaws are seen in the light of exalted wisdom. So the next 4 dharmas of Venerable Bhikshu Mahavasattva, actually this is extracted from my teacher, Venerable Gelman Rinpoche, from his last words before he passed away. And in fact, these words I did not hear directly, but one of one of his students, she got it, and somehow she they passed it on to me, and then I added some of the teachings from His Holiness the Dalai Lama there, and it became very complete. So there are 4 points there which we are to focus in our life if you are to really work on and giving a greater meaning to your life. And these are 4 points not to miss. Okay, first is renunciation, second is bodhicitta, third is wisdom of emptiness, and fourth is the wisdom of the non-dual wisdom of non-dual bliss and emptiness. Okay, so let's read this together. Becoming utterly frustrated with the ignorance that grasps the true existence, Please bless me to generate the genuine renunciation, seeing all aspects of samsara as viciously repulsive. Please bless me that my mind stream overflows with the precious bodhicitta that cherishes others more than myself. Please bless me to have an immaculate experience of the wisdom of emptiness that does not see even an atom of intrinsic reality on the basis of understanding how things come into being by dependent origination through mere conditioning. Please bless me that my mind stream overflows with the precious wisdom of the non-duality of bliss and emptiness. Edam Guru Radna Menda Lagam Nirati Amen. Okay, now we'll read the foundation for good qualities. Okay, this is going to be the roadmap for our, say, giving the greatest meaning to our life. Roadmap from where we are to the Buddhahood. Just 14 verses. We are very fortunate that this is what is left as a legacy by Lama Tsongkhapa for us. Okay, let's say this together slowly. See if you, we reflect on the meanings. And number 3, that not only the meanings, see how much we can invoke the experience to the best we can. The foundation of all good qualities, Yuende Shijuma by Lama Tsongkhapa. The foundation of all good qualities is the kind and the perfect pure Guru. Correct devotion to him is the root of the path. By clearly seeing this and applying great effort, please bless me to rely upon him with great respect. Understanding that the precious freedom of rebirth is found only once, is greatly meaningful and is difficult to find again. Please bless me to generate the mind that unceasingly day and night takes its essence. This life is as impermanent as a water bubble. Remember how quickly decays and death comes. After that, just like a shadow follows the body, the results of virtuous and non-virtuous karma follow. Finding firm and definite conviction in this, please bless me always to be careful, to abandon even the slightest negativity, and accomplish all virtuous deeds. Samsaric splendors are unsatisfying and unreliable. Seeking them is a door to all suffering. Recognizing these shortcomings, please bless me to generate the strong wish for the bliss of liberation. Led by the spirit of thought, mindfulness, alertness, and great question arise. The root of the teaching is keeping the Pratimoksha vows. Please bless me to accomplish this essential practice. Just as I've fallen into the sea of samsara, so for all Mother, my creator beings, please bless me to see this, train in supreme bodhicitta, and bear the responsibility to free my creator beings. Even if developed bodhicitta, but I don't practice the 3 types of morality, I'll not achieve enlightenment. With my clear recognition of this, please bless me to practice the Bodhisattva vows with great energy. Once I've pacified distraction to wrong objects and correctly analyzed the meaning of reality, please bless me to generate quickly within my mind stream the unified path of karma abiding special insight. Having become a pure vessel by training the general path, please bless me to enter the holy gateway of the fortunate ones, the supreme Vajra vehicle. At that time, the basis of accomplishing the 2 attainments is keeping pure vows and samaya. As I become firmly convinced of this, please bless me to protect these vows and pleasures like my life. Then I realize the importance of the 2 stages, the essence of Vajrayana, by practicing with great energy, never giving up the 4 sessions. Please bless me to realize the teachings of the Holy Guru. Like that, may the Guru who showed the noble path and the spiritual friends who practice it for long lives, please bless me to pacify completely all outer and inner hindrances. In all my lives, never separated from perfect gurus, I enjoy the magnificent Dharma by completing the qualities of the stages of the paths and could attain the state of Vajratara. Okay, let us recite this Mixamo mantra. And some of you may not be aware of how this mantra came into being. So this I'd like to share a little bit about it. This mantra was originally composed by Lama Tsongkhapa as a praise to his teacher. His teacher's name was the Renda Oshinulutu, Jizun Renda Oshinulutu. And the Lama Tsongkhapa, was seeing his teacher in the light of the 3 the Buddhas, the Buddha of compassion, the Buddha of wisdom, and the Buddha of the power. Buddha of compassion, Avalokiteshvara, saying that your compassion is so expansive like that of the Avalokiteshvara. And your wisdom is just so refined to see the ultimate truth directly and like the way Manjushri sees. And your power to benefit all the beings is so expansive, where very much like the Vajrapani. And this is how he made the praise to his teacher and offered it to the teacher. And the teacher, they read it, and the teacher erased his own name and replaced it with his student's name, Lama Tsongkhapa's name, and said that this praise fits better with you, not with me. And then it became so blessed and so widely said to accumulate merit, to be connected with Lama Tsongkhapa all throughout the Tibet. So this is what it is. And when we first will recite the English and followed by the Tibetan in the form of tune. And when we read the Tibetan, we skip the third line, and not for any other reason, just to adjust, to accommodate the tune. Okay. You are Avalokiteshvara, the great treasure of non-referential compassion, and Manjushri, master of flawless wisdom, as well as Vajrapani, destroyers of the hosts of demons without exception. Tsongkhapa, crown jewel of the sages of the land of snows, Lord Santabai, at your feet I make prostrations. Okay, the Tibetan now, Tibetan version. You are Avalokiteshvara, great treasure of non-referential compassion, and Manjushri, master of flawless wisdom, as well as Vajrapani, destroyer of hosts of demons without exception. Tsongkhapa, crown jewel of the sages of the land of snows, Lord Santaba, at your feet I make prostrations. Okay. So as a part of taking the Aspiration Bodhisattva Vow, what we do is today we'll do it a little short. First, we will do the 5 minutes meditation, single point meditation, then followed by taking the Aspiration Bodhisattva Vow directly with the 3 verses, and yes, and then we conclude. Okay. The meditation, I'm sure that there are most of you who already know what is the single point meditation, and I'm going to give a quick overview of single point meditation for those people who are new. It consists of 4 parts. One is the body posture. The body posture wise, what is important is known as the 7-fold Varachana body posture. 7-fold. And one is the cross-leg position. Your left foot on your right leg and the right foot on your left leg. This is the cross-leg position. Then the backbone upright. This is so important. You are expected not to lean against the support. And if you have the backache problem or knee problem, just sit in the comfortable position. Otherwise, those who are okay, physically you are okay, then you have to sit upright and not leaning against the support. You can sit in chair, it's fine, but not lean against the support. And your head tilted forwards a little bit, and your eyes not closed. Eyes 45 degrees, eyes half open, 45 degrees cast down. And the tip of the tongue should touch the upper palate to avoid excessive accumulation of saliva in the mouth. And teeth and lips in the natural course, and breathe normally. And right hand on left hand, tips of two thumbs joining, forming a triangle. Place two hands on your lap in restful state. Okay, this is your body posture. While your body is upright, keep it flexible. It should not be rigid. Okay. Then the focal point. What are you going to meditate on? There are many versions of focal point. It's not that one is correct, other is wrong, one is better, other is superior, inferior, so forth. No, everything is correct as long as they follow a genuine, authentic tradition. So what are you going to do here? It's a very simple one. Just count the breath. Breathe in, breathe out. Cycle 1, breathe in, breathe out. Cycle 2. This is what you're going to do for 5 minutes. And then, of course, there are more sophisticated versions, multitasking, so far. I'm going to skip that for the time being. Whereas those of you who already know how to do that, you can incorporate it. Then number 3 is identify the errors of meditation. When you do the meditation, what mistakes can happen? 2 things, broadly speaking, 2 things. One is mental excitation, mental excitement, the overactivity of the mind getting scattered here and there. The other problem is the inactivity of the mind, mental laxity, where you find your mind feels your mind is sinking, your mind feels lethargic, heavy, and lax. So these 2 are the errors of meditation. How to get rid of these 2 is by applying the remedies. Number 4. So remedy twofold: introspection and mindfulness. That introspection is to just keep an eye on the mind to see if your mind is meditating, or it is already scattered, or it is slipping. You have to check it. And once you see that your mind is scattered in lax form, or the mind is in lax form, the sinking or mental distracted, then apply the mindfulness, which is like the rope to bring the mind back to the intended object of meditation. Are you ready? 5 minutes. Okay, thank you. Next, for the bodhicitta, we'll do the first two immeasurables, then followed by taking the Aspiration Bodhisattva Vow. Okay, so this is going to be guided meditation, and we are just to follow instructions. And yes, some of us may feel that what we're doing it's not really coming from my heart. It's very superficial. Don't worry about it. And that's how we have to begin. We begin with a practice with the superficiality, and eventually it will become real. This is how it works. So let us follow that. The idea is how to expand the circle of happiness. And even in our day-to-day life, we see that more compassionate you are, more happy you are. And at the same time, some people, they do complain that when try to be compassionate, then people take advantage of you. So for that, in the Mahayana teachings, there's a tremendous emphasis on what is known as skillful compassion. It's not just compassion, it's a skillful compassion which is to be encouraged. So we need to work on this. With this in mind, ready, we will try to follow instructions and try best to invoke the spirit, invoke this the meaning and the experience to the best you can. Immeasurable compassion. How good would it be that all my dear sentient beings are freed from suffering and the causes of suffering. Causes of suffering primarily self-grasping ignorance and self-centered attitude, and the offshoots in the form of inappropriate tension, contaminated the afflictions, and the contaminated karmas. May all my dear mother sentient beings be freed from suffering and the cause of suffering. I will take the responsibility that all my dear mother sentient beings are freed from suffering and the cause of suffering. The Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, witnessing that you're making such a courageous commitment, the way in manner in which the mother feels so relaxed, so happy to see that her eldest daughter, just aged 12, and the eldest son, like aged 11, they come to the mother, telling mother, "Mother, you have done everything for us. You love us so much. We already grown up. We'll take care of our siblings." And the mother could not believe her eyes and ears. Extremely, extremely proud and happy today. This is exactly what all the Buddhist Bodhisattvas are feeling today, to see that you are making such a courageous commitment to take the responsibility of all the dear sentient beings. And this pride and happiness the Buddhists and Bodhisattvas feel, they invoke the compassionate omniscient minds within them to send on nectars and very soothing lights towards you and all dear sentient beings. Their mere touch of lights and nectars with the bodies mixing yours washes away all the miseries and the causes of miseries from you and from all dear sentient beings. And you, witnessing that such a miracle is happening towards all the dear sentient beings, you're intensely happy. Take three deep breaths, silent relief. Next, immeasurable loving kindness. How good would it be that all my dear sentient beings are endowed with happiness and the causes of happiness. The causes of happiness primarily consisting of the wisdom of emptiness, the fearless wisdom of emptiness, and the most beautiful mind of the bodhicitta, cherishing all others more than oneself. May all my dear sentient beings be endowed with happiness and the causes of happiness. I will take the responsibility that all my dear sentient beings are endowed with happiness and the causes of happiness. The Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, witnessing that you make such a courageous commitment, they intensely happy and proud of you. This pride and happiness invoke their compassionate omniscient minds The sensual nectars are very soothing light towards you and all demons and beings. They may touch less nectars with the bodies because yours washes the instills in all happiness and causes happiness within you and all demons and beings. And you witnessing that such miracle is happening towards all the demons and beings. You're intensely happy. Take 3 deep breaths, sigh with relief. Underscoring all the four immeasurables is the unconditional love towards all the demons and beings. Just abiding the experience of the unconditional love. Imagining that you are looking at the eyes of each of the demons and beings with so much love and affection, to the extent that each one of them feels themselves as so special in your eyes. Okay, with folded hands, let us make this commitment, the Bodhisattva commitment, the commitment of the Bodhisattva, the most beautiful mind that exists in this universe. May I become Buddha for the benefit of all my dear mother sentient beings. May I become Buddha for the benefit of all my dear mother sentient beings. May I become Buddha for the benefit of all my dear mother sentient beings. Just abide in this courageous commitment of bodhicitta, the most beautiful mind that is possibly exists in this universe. And slowly transform this beautiful mind of bodhicitta into a spotlessly clean moon disk, horizontally sitting on the heart. Okay, that's amazing that you made such a courageous commitment to become Buddha. But how can you become Buddha? No matter how much you squeeze a handful of sand, no oil come out of that. Yes, that's true. But in my case, I'm not like a handful of sand, like a handful of sunflower seeds, squeezing which the Buddhahood comes out. I have the Buddha nature within me, the seed of perfection within each of the dear sentient beings. Everyone has this. But how come that you did not become Buddha since time immemorial till now? Yes, that's true. Till now, I'm being deceived by the two demons, self-grasping, ignorant, self-centered attitude. And today, I'm disillusioned by these two. I'm going to do everything to exterminate the two demons. How am I going to do that? But it's sort into a very powerful remedy. What is that remedy? The wisdom of emptiness, the non-dual wisdom of emptiness. What is that like? Okay, let's quickly meditate on emptiness. It's going to be a guided meditation. Just follow the instructions. What are you doing? I'm meditating. And what is your body doing? My body is in meditative posture. How does this self, we identified as the I, how does this person appear to you? As like a dream that your mind is creating it, or like something which is so independently, objectively there as solidified? Of course, it exists so objectively there as solidified. This perception and this belief is the self-grasping ignorance. This is what creates all the miseries within you and all human sentient beings. Okay, how do we know that this ignorance? For this, let us remember what Aranyagarbhajana said in Ratnamala, or the precious garland. If the mirage were to be water, why not those close by the mirage see water? By the same extension, extending this to the self. If the self would exist objectively, the way it appears is so solidly real, why not we see the self as I go closer to the object? Okay, now let us go closer to the object, which is self, with the help of the ultimate analysis. Going closer to the object with the help of ultimate analysis, we will just ignore all those things which are not the self. We're only interested in what exists as object real, as a self. Going there, first we see a thin layer of the skin. Behind that, the fatty tissues. Behind that, the muscles, cartilages, the bones, the whole skeleton is there. Heart, the lungs, pancreas, gallbladder, the liver, the kidney, intestines, stomach, all these solid parts constitute the element earth. Of course, the element earth is not to be identified as intrinsically one with the self. So the self doesn't exist as intrinsically different from the objectively different from the six elements. Okay, to check that, just remove all the six elements. What is left there? Nothing is left there as to be identified as self, which is intrinsically different from the six elements. Okay, so what are you seeing now? In the eyes of this ultimate analysis, if at all, if there's something, just six elements, and none of the six elements is found to be identified as intrinsically one with the self, nor the self is to be identified as intrinsically different from the six elements. Okay, where's the self now? You have come too close to the object. Where's the self? Just as coming too close to from where it appears water, you see the water is empty. You see just it's so dry. You conclude that what you earlier saw as water was just a mirage, just an illusion. Likewise, what you see as a self, so objective real, now you have come too close to object. What is the self? What is the self? Where is the self? Nowhere to be found this self objectively. Stay in this experience for a while. It doesn't mean that the self doesn't exist. It does exist, but it doesn't exist in the eyes of the ultimate analysis. Something which doesn't exist in the eyes of the ultimate analysis doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. It simply means that it doesn't exist objectively. It does not exist ultimately. Whereas it does exist, it exists in the eyes of the conventional analysis. So in the ultimate analysis, we see that we discover that the self is empty of objective reality. Stay in this experience. In the eyes of ultimate analysis, the self is nowhere to be seen. Stay in this experience for a while. In this non-affirming negative of this self as empty from the object. Okay, slowly transform this mind of the wisdom, the fearless mind of the wisdom of emptiness, into a spotless, clean, thumb-sized white Vajra, vertically sitting on the moon, just get a heart. Okay, that's amazing that you have such, that you have these two bodhicittas, the moon symbolizing the ultimate conventional bodhicitta to eradicate the self-grasp, self-centered attitude, and a Vajra symbolizing the ultimate bodhicitta, the non-dual wisdom of the bodhisattvas, Arya bodhisattvas. So these two guarantee that all your mental stains, afflictive obscurations, and cognitive obscurations, all are going to be eradicated. And thus you're going to experience the total fearlessness, the infinite happiness. That's amazing. But let us not forget that your parents are there, your children are there, all dear mother sentient beings are suffering. Yes, with intense, incredible compassion. This incredible compassion invoked the Vajramuni in your heart to multiply infinite number of times. Share one set of the Vajramuni at the heart of your mother, one set of the Vajramuni at the heart of your father, one set with each one of your children, one set with each of the human beings, animals, insects, honeycombs, hell beings, God and goddesses, spirits that live in your country, in the world, in the entire universe. Now, all the sentient beings have this Vajra moon to guarantee that now they're going to be liberated from miseries and will be taken to the Buddhahood, ultimate happiness. That's amazing. So meanwhile, let us not forget that all the Buddhist Bodhisattvas, they're watching us. Why not we invite all the Buddhist Bodhisattvas to be the witness and as well as the guests to our undertaking this, the ceremony of taking the Aspiration Bodhisattva Vow on this very sacred day. The Compassion Buddha gave the first 10 of the rule of Dharma. So as a gesture of making a request to the Buddhist Bodhisattvas to be the witness and a guest, they'll slowly make at the standard to make 3 prostrations along with all the dear sentient beings. Okay, if it is possible for you, you can sit on the right knees. Sit on the right knees, and I request this Rumla to do the screen sharing of the three verses. Okay, this is extremely important for all of us. This is the real ceremony, making the greatest meaning out of this, extracting the greatest meaning out of this life today. On the sacred day, the Buddha Shakti turned the first wheel of Dharma. And just let us reinforce or visualize all the Buddhist Bodhisattvas who are watching us. Imagine that this is like you as a young girl, age 5 or 6, and as the young boy, age 5 or 6, and you are, for the first time in your life, you are making a public appearance on behalf of your school, and you're a little nervous, and your parents are there. Their parents, they left all the works that they have for that day, come in the audience, to waving their hands to you, telling you that we are here, and we are so proud of you, because that you are doing something so great. This is exactly what is happening to all the Buddhist Bodhisattvas. They're feeling so proud of you today that you, for the first time since many lifetimes, this is what you're doing today in this life, taking the Aspiration Buddhist Vow. You are doing like a young girl or young boy for the first time in your life, doing something so precious. Not only that, you are bringing, you are encouraging, you are inspiring all your dear Mother Sentient beings to take part in this the ceremony along with you. This is even greater, that this what you're doing. So with this in mind, we're going to recite the first verse. I'm going to quickly explain the meaning of the first verse. That what we're doing is we made this commitment that I'll become Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings. When we make this commitment, this is a very important journey, and there is no greater journey than this journey of enlightenment. So for that matter, we need a great support. The greatest of support is the Triple Gem, the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. So we take, the first line says, "I go for refuge to the Triple Gem." And this journey, because that this journey is a very important journey, and there's always the tendency that the road can be blocked by the boulders, trees, and so forth. So the road is none other than only your mind. Your mind can be blocked by the obstacles such as the negativities. So how to get rid of this is by confessing negativities. Second line says, I confess the negativities individually. And then now the road is clear, but if the car does not have enough fuel, and again, you cannot undertake the journey. The car is none other than your own mind, and this mind should have enough fuel of the merit and the virtues. And the best way by which to do so within a short span of time is by rejoicing the virtues of all the beings, the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, the other beings, your colleagues, your friends, everyone. So the third line says, I rejoice in the virtues of all the beings. Now that the road is very clear and the car is enough fuel, what kind of journey are you going to undertake? So it's the journey of the Buddhahood. The fourth line says, I hold the precious Buddha in my heart. So let's wholeheartedly say this. Imagine that all sentient beings are joined this, and the Buddhist Bodhisattvas, like the two parents, so lovingly listening to you, observing the great thing that you're doing. I go for refuge to the Triple Gem. I confess the negativities individually. I rejoice in the virtues of all the beings. I hold the precious Buddha in my heart. I go for refuge to the Triple Gem. I confess the negativities individually. I rejoice in the virtues of all the beings. I hold the precious Buddha in my heart. I go for refuge to the Triple Gem. I confess the negativities individually. I rejoice in the virtues of all the beings. I hold the precious Buddha in my heart. Okay, the next two verses is the actual ceremony for us. We invoke the Buddhist Bodhisattvas to pay heed to us. And the first verse says that how the past Buddhas like Buddha Shakyamuni succeeded in this, the endeavor to benefit all the sentient beings. They succeeded for two factors. The first one is that very strong motivation to become Buddha. And second factor is to materialize the aspiration of this bodhicitta. They engage in bodhisattva deeds. 6 perfections plus 4 perfections making 10. And 6 perfections are perfection of generosity, ethical discipline, patience, enthusiasm, meditative concentration, and wisdom. And the 4 perfections are the skillfulness, aspiration prayers, power, and the primordial wisdom. So these are 10 perfections in which they engaged in to finally manifest the Buddha nature in the form of Buddhahood. So the second verse is that then I will also follow the steps by generating very strong bodhicitta and by engaging bodhisattvas practices. During the third repetition, towards the end of the third repetition, imagine that you have actually received the Bodhisattva vow. That is the Aspiration Bodhisattva Vow. Okay, let's say this together. Gurus, Buddhas, and Bodhisattvas, please behave to me. Just as previous Buddhas have generated the mind of bodhicitta, and just as they successfully dwelt in the Bodhisattva practices, likewise for the benefit of all sentient beings, I will generate the mind of bodhicitta, and likewise shall I too successfully follow the Bodhisattva practices. Gurus, Buddhas, and Bodhisattvas, please behave to me. Just as previous Buddhas have generated the mind of bodhicitta, and just as they successfully dwelt in the Bodhisattva practices, likewise for the benefit of all sentient beings, I will generate the mind of bodhicitta, and likewise shall I too successfully follow the Bodhisattva practices. Gurus, Buddhas, and Bodhisattvas, please behave to me. Just as previous Buddhas have generated the mind of bodhicitta, and just as they successfully dwelt in the Bodhisattva practices, likewise for the benefit of all sentient beings, I will generate the mind of bodhicitta, and likewise shall I too successfully follow the Bodhisattva practices. Just feel the joy of having received the Aspiration Bodhisattva vow. And while we are doing that, all the Buddhist Bodhisattvas, they're so proud of you. They're so happy to see that in all these many lifetimes where we've been only engaging in the negative karmas, like negative karmas, afflictions, so forth, today you engage yourself in such wholesome thing which the Buddhas cannot really imagine that you will one day do that. And today you did it. They're so proud and happy. This pride and happiness, imagine that they invoke the Vajramoon at their hearts to multiply infinite number of times. In barrage like rain shower, they descend to merge with the one that you have visualized in your heart, thereby becoming non-dual, stabilized, and blessed. That your two bodhicittas are blessed. Likewise, the replicas of the Buddhas, they Vajramoon from the hearts of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, full-fledged form, they, like rain shower, they descend to merge with the one that is visualized in the heart of your mother, at the heart of your father, at the heart of each one of your children, each of the dear sentient beings in the country, in the world, in the entire universe. Thereby, I become non-dual, stabilized, and blessed. Okay, so this is so precious, so auspicious, and the real, truly giving a meaning to your life on this auspicious day. The Buddha Shakyamuni turned the wheel of Dharma. So this all happened because of the kindness of all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. As a gesture of thanking them, let us slowly stand up to make 3 prostrations, along with all dear sentient beings, to all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. Okay, please take your seats. Okay, thanks for screen sharing. The next. The next immediate next page. Body. Okay, so indeed we are very fortunate that on this special occasion, when the Buddha Shakyamuni so compassionately turned the first wheel of Dharma, and so here I'm in a cultural center, close to Paris, and so Tin Shoktenla, Tibet Secretary, Tin Stumla, and others from Tibet House. So this is a collaboration program in collaboration between the two institutes. And we are very fortunate that this is happening here. And yes, in this life, we are very fortunate. But what about next life? To make sure that in next life, we also continue to come in contact with such precious true bodhicittas, let us include this in a form of a very powerful prayer, for which we're going to recite this verse together 3 times, along with all ultimate sentient beings, and seeking the blessings of all the Buddhist Bodhisattvas. Throughout my future lifetimes, may I always be guided by the compassionate Buddha and be able to uphold the true precious bodhicittas even at the cost of my life. Throughout my future lifetimes, may I always be guided by the compassionate Buddha and be able to uphold the true precious bodhicittas even at the cost of my life. Throughout my future lifetimes, may I always be guided by the compassionate Buddha and be able to uphold the true precious bodhicittas even at the cost of my life. Okay, now to feel the joy of having received this Aspiration Bodhisattva Vow, and in the future lifetimes that when we come in contact with these teachings, we very forcefully, rigorously engage in practice of the teachings without wasting our time. So for that matter, we need to implant the seed of finding joy in this teaching. So we'll recite this from, and these verses are extracted from Guided Bodhisattva of Life by Bodhisattva Shantideva. In order to further increase this bodhicitta from now on, those with discernment who have lucidly seized and awakened a mind of bodhicitta in this way should highly praise in the following manner. Today my life has borne fruit. Having well obtained this human existence, I've been born in the family of the Buddha, and now I'm one of Buddha's children. Thus, whatever actions I do from now on must be in accord with the family. Never shall I disgrace or pollute this noble and unsullied race. Just like a blind person discovering a jewel in a heap of rubbish, likewise by some coincidence an awakened mind has been born within me. It's the supreme ambrosia that overcomes the sovereignty of death. It's the inexhaustible treasure that eliminates all poverty in the world. It's the supreme medicine that quells the world's disease. It's the tree that shelters all beings wandering entirely on the path of conditioned existence. It's the universal bridge that leads to freedom from unhappy states of birth. It's the dawning mode of the mind that dispels the torments of disturbing conceptions. It's the great sun that finally removes the mixed ignorance of the world. It's the quintessential butter from the churning of the milk of Dharma. For all those guests traveling on the path of conditioned existence, who wish to experience the bounties of happiness, this will satisfy them with joy and actually place them in supreme bliss. Today, in the presence of all the protectors, and invite the world to be guests at a festival of temporary and ultimate delight. May gods, demigods, and all be joyful. Okay, let's go for the direction prayer, the longer version of the direction prayer. This is a shorter version. Okay, let us dedicate the merits that's gathered as the following. Let's pray that the dedicated merits that's gathered. Truly, no doubt, we have accumulated so much of merit with this practice of bodhicitta, and His Holiness and all the Buddhist Bodhisattvas, for sure, through the wisdom eye, they could see what we're doing. They're so proud, they're so happy, and no doubt so much of merit is accumulated. Let us dedicate the merits that's gathered, that His Holiness the Dalai Lama, the true source of joy and happiness on this earth, that he lives long, and that his wishes be fulfilled spontaneously. And particularly, let us pray that the leaders all over the world leaders, they come to learn from this great son of the world, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, how to resort to dialogue, how to resort to compassionate means to solve the problems, resolve the differences. So this is all because of the lacking this wisdom that the world leaders, they unnecessarily create so much a problem in the world. Wars in Russia and the Ukraine and in Sri Lanka, all this conflict, and everywhere in the world, there's so much of conflicts happening, the border tensions, domestic violence, and within the country, so much of problems happening. It's all because of the lack of the leadership. lack of the means, the skills in the leadership. So the leadership with compassion and with the wisdom, the way and manner in which His Holiness the leads. If the world leaders can just learn a part of it, the world is going to be very different. Let us pray that this actually happens. Let us not give up. And of course, that finally, to be very practical, the leaders come from the youth, and the youth are being nurtured by the modern education. And the modern education, His Holiness has already planned, made a plan that the modern education should be supplemented with the education of the heart. This, what he calls as universal ethics. And this is what His Holiness works so hard to see that it is implemented in the various academic institutions, curriculums. And let us also pray that all these learning centers, such as the traditions of the Nyingma, Kagyu, Sakya, Gelug, and from the Chinese tradition, from the Theravada tradition, and all these great learning centers thrive in the activities of study, reflection, meditation, for they are like the Mount Everest. They are like the true source of the Dharma. And these centers must thrive in the activities of the study, reflection, and meditation. And the monastic members there, let us pray that they'll all live harmoniously. Their whole focus must be directed towards the study, reflection, meditation of the Dharma. And let us also pray that all the centers, like Kalachakra Center here, then Tibet House, and all the centers in the world who render service, who render Dharma, and Dharma opportunities to the world everywhere, to the people, particularly to the people who are otherwise so busy with their the livelihood. May these centers thrive in activities, and may they be supported by the people around. For example, in Tibet House, we have great support like Dibishla and Rimala and many others who render such great support that all these amazing programs are made they're real to all over the world. This is sheer because of the efforts, and let us pray that these people who give tremendous support, they have healthy life and their Dharma practice become very successful. Here in Cultural Center, we have Venerable Elizabeth, who has been for all these like 50 years, worked so hard that the France, the PM centers, they actually take root there and be benefited. And the people like the Megali, and then the Evelyn, and the and the Mary Christian, and the Julian, and the two Virginians, and many of them, like the Patrick, Mary, and many of and Anna Sophie, and many of them here, they make this center so successful. And we have Gishi Tabala, Gishi Tabala, saying that it's because of them that here in France, that for example, the cultural center, that people benefit so much from this. Let us pray that all of them, all the people who are involved in serving the Dharma, may have their good health, long life, and that Dharma practice become very successful. So, and also let us pray that all those people who died due to COVID-19, and also people who died otherwise as well, let us pray that they take a favorable birth, the birth of human life, meeting with the teachings, the genuine teachings of the Buddha, authentic teachings of Buddha, of the Bodhisattva and wisdom of emptiness, that each one of them, they become such a reliable guide, the beacon of the light of the wisdom, beacon of compassion, and to lead all the demonstrations makes towards ultimate happiness. And let us pray that the teaching of the wisdom of emptiness and Bodhisattva thrive in every nook and corner of the world, everywhere in the universe. With this mind, let us say these verses together. In the land encircled by snow mountains, you are the source of all happiness and good. All powerful charity, Tenzin Gyatso, please remain until samsara ends. Just as a brave Manchurian summoned by the to realize things they are, also identify all these merits in the best way that I may follow their perfect example. I dedicate all these rules of virtue with the dedicated praise as the best by all the Buddhists who appear in 3 times, so that I might perform the noble Bodhisattva's deeds. Chanju senjo rembo che ma ge ba nam ge gyoro che ge ba nyam ba me ba ya kone kondo pe varai sho. May the Supreme Bodhisattva that there is no rest in the rising grow, and may their riches rest not diminish but increase forevermore. As long as space remains, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. Due to the merits of these virtuous actions, may I quickly attain the state of a Guru Buddha and lead all beings without exception into that enlightened state. I dedicate the merit thus gathered towards the realization of the deeds in the prayers of all the Buddhists and the Bodhisattvas all 3 times, and to the upholding of the Dharma of teaching and realization. May I in all lives choose for this merit, may I never separate from the 4 wheels of the Mahayana vehicle, and accomplish all the stages of the path, renunciation, bodhicitta, perfect in the 2 stages. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. I go for refuge to a triple gem. I confess the negativities individually. I rejoice the virtues of all the beings. I hold the precious Buddhahood in my heart. By the power of practicing and subjugating to you, may all be free from sickness, poverty, and conflicts. May all Dharma and the auspicious proliferate in all the places where we abide. The path of union of compassion, emptiness, compassion, is loosely explained by the perturbed Buddha, Dharma, and the beings land of snows. You are the lotus soul that Tenzin Gyatso. We supplicate you that you wish us to fulfill spontaneously. May the operations, evil thoughts, and deeds of negative forces, humans or non-humans, who help by manage through perverted prayers against the teachings of Buddha, be totally vanquished through the power of the truth of the 3 jewels. In all my lives, never separate from perfect gurus, who enjoy the manifesting Dharma by completing the qualities of the stages of the paths, we clearly attain the state of Vajradhara. Throughout my future lifetimes, may always be guided by Ramanjushri and be able to uphold the Dharma in general and the teachings on dependent origin in particular, even across my life. Teata Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhiswaha Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhiswaha Dhyata Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhiswaha. Okay, thank you. It will be 3 persons.
Thank you, Geshe.
Thank you, Geshe. Thank you. Geshe. Thank you.
Guruji, Sadar Pranam, Guruji.
Pranam Geshla, and thank you, Team Nalanda. Na Geshla, and thank you, Jamula, the Tibet House staff, Samalola Tuchina. Thank you.